What if the things you do every single day, the way you can't ask for help even when you're drowning, the way you apologize before you've done anything wrong, the way the voice in your head never lets you off the hook, what if none of that is personality? What if it's a response to something that happened so early and so quietly, you never recognized it as something that happened to you? Psychology has a name for it: childhood emotional neglect. Stay with this to the end, because the last one is the one most people never connect back to where it really started. 1. You can't ask for help. Picture a child, 4 or 5 years old. They fall. They call out. And the person who is supposed to come doesn't. Not once. Not twice. Enough times that the child learns something. Reaching doesn't work. So they stop. They get up. Figure it out alone. That child becomes the adult who insists they're fine when they aren't. Who would rather fail privately than ask publicly. Who feels a strange tightness when someone offers help? Because accepting help requires trusting it will actually arrive. And somewhere in the body, that trust got broken before it formed. John Bowlby called this the deactivation of the attachment system. The point at which a child stops reaching, not because they no longer need, but because reaching stopped working. The adult who can't ask for help isn't self-sufficient. They're still protecting the child who learned that asking wasn't safe. 2. You over-apologize for existing. You say sorry before you've done anything wrong. You over-explain. You justify decisions nobody asked about. You make yourself smaller in every room you enter. In homes where emotional neglect was present, children grow up without their inner world being acknowledged. Their feelings go unnamed. Their presence goes unwelcomed in the way every child needs. The message, never spoken, always communicated, you are a burden unless you prove otherwise. So the child preemptively apologizes, makes themselves smaller, explains more. That habit follows them into every room they walk into for the rest of their life. Dr. Jonas Webb calls this the internalized sense of defectiveness. Not a thought, not a memory, a feeling that lives in the body long after the mind has moved on. The over-apology isn't politeness. It's a habit built from a time when your presence felt like it needed permission. You were never too much. You were in the wrong environment. 3. You don't know what you feel. Someone asks how you're feeling, and you genuinely don't know. Not because you're guarded, because between the feeling and the word, there is nothing. Psychologists call this emotional alexithymia, significantly more common in adults who experienced emotional neglect in childhood. Here is why. Emotions aren't just felt, they are named by the people who raise us. A present caregiver names the feeling. You're scared. You're sad. I understand. Over years, that naming builds a map, an internal language for the inner world. When the naming is absent, the child grows up with feelings but no map for them. As adults, they describe feeling numb, detached, like watching their own life from slightly outside it. Not because they don't feel, because nobody taught them what feeling was called. If you struggle to name your emotions, that's not a personality trait. It's a gap in what you were given. The map can be built in adulthood. It's never too late to learn the language. 4. You choose familiar over safe. This is the hardest one. Look honestly at the patterns. In love, in friendship, in the dynamics you return to again and again, and ask one uncomfortable question. What if I'm not unlucky in who I choose? What if I'm not choosing love? What if I'm just choosing what feels familiar? The nervous system doesn't seek what is good for it. It seeks what it recognizes. A child raised with inconsistent love, where affection had to be earned, builds an unconscious blueprint of what relationships are. Psychologists call this the working model of attachment. That blueprint becomes the nervous system's definition of love. So the adult is drawn to partners who are emotionally unavailable, dynamics where warmth has to be worked for, connections that run hot and cold, not because they don't deserve better, because the nervous system recognizes that pattern. It feels like home, even when home was where the wound began. The partner who is consistently kind can feel, inexplicably, almost boring. Not because kindness is wrong, because safety is unfamiliar. You're not broken. You're running on an old map. The pattern can be redrawn, but first it has to be seen for what it is. Not fate. A blueprint built in childhood that was never meant to be permanent. 5. You are your own harshest critic. The voice in your head is not neutral. It is relentless. Every mistake becomes evidence. Every failure confirms something. The bar moves the moment you clear it. You would never speak to another person the way you speak to yourself. Here is where that voice comes from. Children who are emotionally neglected miss one thing every developing mind needs: mirroring. The experience of looking up at a caregiver and seeing reflected back, "You are good. You made a mistake." But you are not a mistake. Without that reflection, the child doesn't develop a neutral self-image. They develop a critical one. In the absence of a voice that says you are enough, the child generates their own. And that voice doesn't say you are enough. It says try harder. Do better. You're still not there. Donald Winnicott called this a failure of mirroring. The child looks to the parent to have their goodness reflected back, and finds instead blankness. The inner critic isn't you. It's the echo of an environment that never gave you permission to rest. Recognizing whose voice it really is, and that it was never the truth about you, is where the work begins. Close. Childhood emotional neglect is the wound that doesn't look like a wound. No single moment. No visible marks. Just a childhood that quietly shaped the way you move through the world. The way you won't ask for help. The way you apologize for being in the room. The way you reach for familiar instead of safe. The way you can't find the feeling, or the word for it. The way the voice never lets you rest. None of this is who you are. It's what you adapted to. And the most important thing psychology has learned is that adaptation can go both ways. What was learned can be unlearned. Not by being stronger, not by trying harder, but by doing the one thing you were never given permission to do as a child: letting yourself be seen.
If this made you think, subscribe for more.